Well, a good afternoon to everybody. We're about to go. Betty's not here, but you know that Betty's,
She had a conflict and called in advance, so that's excused, correct?
so she'll be here, but here later.
She will not be here.
Okay, all right. Okay, so can we call the roll, please? Jenna?
Divine,
Here.
Letter. Here. Torres, I'm here. Price. We just,
Yeah, she, excuse me. Okay.
Robinson Walker. Here. Stack.
Here.
Thompson. Here. And Lair. Here.
Well, we've all looked at the minutes by now, I assume, and I would like to ask if there are any additions or corrections we need to make a note of. Hearing none, let's record that they were accepted universally as reported. And we have lots of reports and activities today, and all the visitors here with us to help us clear the way and understand the right direction for us to go and lend our weight behind all the things we would like to have achieved with our programs of aquatics and fitness. So first of all, residents forum. Either, Rich, did you make a note to be on the agenda?
Did I?
Yeah.
No, the first time, I just wanted to hear, I've never been to one of these.
Not a problem, not a problem. Just wanted to be sure that we didn't deprive you of a chance to speak up. Yeah. Let's see, I'm on a different set of
All right.
the agenda here. I've got the temporary and the final one.
Should I give you that, so the copy that I gave you when you was here,
I've got-
this would be easier to follow, this one, because it has less of the annotations on it.
Right.
So what did we do?
Yeah. So we're up to the chair's report. I don't have a lot to say, but I'd just like to say a little bit about things that we're going to be addressing a little later in the meeting. I got up earlier than I usually do to go down to the gym. I was interested to see what the volleyball program was going to be like, and it's one of the new things that were offered. We may have offered it in the past, I don't know that. I didn't know we could string up a proper volleyball net in that fitness part of the gym, but I learned. So before I went down there, I looked at the internet to see how many people had signed to show up, and one person had signed to show up, and there were 14 spaces left. So I got down there, and the one person was there. I was a little early, actually, but then they trickled in, and there was about 6 of them there by the time 15 minutes had gone by, and they were having a good time. And, you know, my philosophy, I did say this once before, any activity is better for the benefits that can be shared and developed than no activity. And if volleyball happens to be an entree, a lot of people will enjoy that because they played volleyball seriously at some time in their life, and they know the game, and they have a good old giggle, and they're having a nice socialization, getting to know some more people among our residents. All the literature says that's important for us elderly people to have our own little society. So it's more than just being polite. It's actually a positive experience. And then, of course, they played, so lots of activity. I watched it right through. I was doing my gym workout. I didn't interrupt them, but I was very impressed. And the point I wanted to make is that sometimes when we introduce new things or alterations to something that had a different traditional format, it doesn't work for a little while because people don't know about it, and there's always a lag between knowing it was on and then actually getting to give it some consideration to see if you would participate. So we have to be a little bit patient here. I mean, I wouldn't think that we would want to cancel a volleyball program because it only had 6 people showing up, because it can easily grow from that. That's the comment I wanted to make, that sometimes when you try to be creative, and I've already complimented the staff on their efforts to do that, Jackie in particular, you gotta have a little bit of patience because it doesn't get into full speed the first time around. That's all I wanted to say. So it's a very limited report. Are there any items of correspondence or other announcements that I don't know about that anybody else brings to the table? Okay, that's easy. So we're up to staff reports, and we'll turn the table over to Ann.
Yes. So I actually don't have any PowerPoints because we just had our capital project budget list approved, but the funding is we're kind of waiting until we get the bid in on the pickleball, and then we'll kind of know the sequence of how to proceed. Still on the agenda as a priority will be resurfacing the pool. And so probably by the next time we meet, we'll talk about generally the time of year we're looking at. Again, we want to do it as late in the year as possible before the outdoor pools close. I always have to say that the proper way, just so people have an option to swim. But once we decide on, it'll be about a month process, and we have to be a little bit flexible with the vendor within, the time frame. But we want it again as late in our season as possible.
Yeah, I made the report, the comment a couple of times. If we could do whatever the range of possibilities allows us to do, have it so that we can still use Hillside while it's out of
Absolutely.
action. And it worked rather well this season, I
Yeah.
thought. Good, that's the point I wanted to make. So the floor is yours, Ed.
So, this meeting marks turning over the reins to Jackie to lead us through a lot of the content of this meeting. And so she is going to, do I have to do this? So she's going to lead us through the operations report. But I'll drive. How about that?
Thank you for joining. So for our staffing updates, we welcome 2 new administrative assistants that are part-time to the team the first week of February to work the fitness desk early in the mornings throughout the week. So if you come to the fitness center in the early mornings of the parts of the day, please stop by and say hello to Lotus or Patrick. I'm sure they'll be very happy to meet everybody, make new friends. So the management team has also concluded their recruitment of the part-time fitness trainer. One was to replace M departing and retiring. The top candidate has been selected and is currently in the screening process. We expect the new fitness trainer to be on board mid-March, which is next week.
Do they have a start date?
Yes, so we actually have to update since I had to submit this. And our new fitness trainer will be starting up on next Tuesday, the 18th.
That's good.
Can I ask a question? How many hours, and do you know anything about schedule yet?
Oh, of the fitness trainer? We're working out her schedule once we get her on board, but it's a total of 24 hours. As far as programming, we've executed the changes to class locations to increase class capacity in some of the more consistently full classes. So Bob Huff's Mat Pilates class moved to the gym on January 27th, and that increased his class capacity from 30 to 45 students. And it was a really good sight to see. It was wonderful seeing that many people doing Pilates in the same room together. Ash and Adam have also partnered to hold a quick 20-minute drop-in pop-up classes in the gym Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, where they just change up the type of cardio exercise throughout the week. And it provides a great way for people that are in Ash, Adam, or Bob's midday classes to tack on another extra exercise in that time frame. And as promised, our fitness trainers have added more floor time to their weekly schedules, allowing them more time to engage with gym users using the fitness, offering fitness and tips and demos. Fitness trainers have been offering more time for free group orientation, so for specific areas of the gym and machines as well. We saw many full or group orientations steadily through January and February, and it continues on, but we'll continue to monitor the use of that free option and adjust where needed to better serve our population that's coming in. The increase of floor time and orientations have helped so many residents start their fitness journey in this early years when resolutions start. And we're hoping that they continue on with their journey from that experience. But we've seen a great increase in the gym usage in the past 2 months because of that. For aquatic operations, our aquatics team has been happy to be back under the protection of the newly renovated And Hideo and David have begun scheduling and conducting swim lessons for residents that have been on the wait list for quite some time since the summer. Staff have also been hard at work performing maintenance at the Dollar and Hillside pools in preparation for the March 1st opening of the outdoor pools. And then our Master Swim Club, well, they have their Thursday workout, moved back to Hillside to further Thursday workout, and they're keeping their Tuesday still inside the Tice pool. Family hours will have begun at Hillside as well with the reopening for spring. And then for fitness operations, the fitness management team has been taking time to identify equipment and supplies, both large and small, to purchase in 2025. Along with the class relocations in January and capacity increases, came the need for an increase in the current equipment. So we purchased new Pilates rings and mats and added it to the storage room between the aerobics studio and gymnasium to provide enough equipment for each class location without leaving other rooms lacking in equipment. A fifth reformer was also moved into the Pilates studio to add one more student to each reformer class. With that addition, the fitness center is able to accommodate 20 more students without adding more classes to the trainer schedule. An order has also been placed for a brand new Pilates reformer with specifications to match the other wood reformers already in that room. And we anticipate that delivery installation in the spring. All right, now crunching the numbers. So in the past, the reporting period encompassing January and February, there were 488 new visitors to the fitness center. I think it's the resolutioners. Mondays continued to be the day of the week with the highest attendance overall, with the exception of Tuesday. There was one Tuesday in January, and then Wednesdays were actually a close third as well. The 9 o'clock AM hour is still the most busiest time of the day. Orientations and personal training, so varied a little bit, I think because we were trying to catch up with people still trying to book their orientation or get their last orientations and stuff in from the previous year. But orientation for unique clients, there was 27 in January, 145 in February. Orientations for the 30 and 60 minutes, there's 149 for January and 246 for February. And then the personal training unique clients, 92 for January and 179 for February. And the total amount of sessions for personal training, there was 683 sessions for January and 632 for February. Our trainers were very busy. For the visits by day of the week, you can see that our lowest attended day was first Sunday of January, 493, and our highest in January was the second to last Tuesday of the month at 880. For February, the first Sunday of February, we hit 966 people coming in our doors.
Wow.
So I looked at it, I was like, it's about a tenth of our population.
That's the beginning of the resolutions.
Yeah.
Resolution S.
That's great. That's fantastic.
And then our lowest number of that month was 514. And you can see the visits by time of day for January peaking at 9 a.m. Lowest time is, of course, 8 o'clock at night in the last hour of the day. February looks almost exactly similar, so it's still the trend. And that concludes that report.
I just want to say that all the new classes, all the things that you have done, I have heard so many good things from people. I've gone to a lot of the new classes too, and my only complaint, and it's really not a complaint, is that sometimes there are two classes at the same time that I want to go to. And so sometimes I go to one week and one the next week, but I just think, you know, you and your staff have really done a great job with getting those classes going. And I know you can tell that people are going.
Yeah. I share your complaint. Yeah, I want to do it all.
You want to do it all.
Well, once we have our new trainer on, we'll have more to come.
Yeah.
Well,
Can I say
it's a-
something? Jackie, the one thing that I really love the new classes too, is the signing up for Joe Nash's and Dino's classes, because they're never oversubscribed, you know what I mean? So it feels like we're doing it, but it's kind of redundant, because there's always room in there. They're not one of the classes that at 6 a.m. or, you know, 6:30,
Yeah.
people are just pounding the door to get in.
But for that, we're trying to keep it standardized, so. it's
Oh, I
across the
know we
board.
have to go along.
But
with
it's
the
good that we're still
program,
opening, yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't fill up, so.
It's important that you relay these comments to the staff that
Oh, yeah.
the
no.
group here
I like
that are interested and are participating and getting feedback from our fellow residents. We think it's positive and we want to endorse that.
Yeah, that was from,
Keep their
not just
morale
me, yeah, that was from the class. It wasn't just mine.
I have a question, two questions, actually. So, looking at our minutes from the last meeting, one of the things we said was that we wondered last time about what is the percentage, or approximately how many of our 10,000 residents use the fitness center?
Mhm.
And I mean, it says we would talk about that at this meeting, and I don't know if we're ready or not, but that still is out there as a question.
Well, from the population, based on the busiest day of
Yeah.
that month.
But I think you're like overall.
Oh, overall,
We'll find
yeah.
out, we'll
Yeah,
find out. I'll
overall.
make a note about
Correct,
that.
yeah, correct.
Got lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, I made a note of that too, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. We'll
To
see if we
follow-
can,
to
we'll
follow up.
see if we can pull it.
Yeah.
Part of the issue is our data in Mind Body is not unlike the duplicative data that's in GenArc right now, which is getting cleaned up with the NetSuite. So we need to look at it, and if we see too many duplicates, we may need to wait till we switch over systems.
Sure, absolutely.
But we need to, we're at that point, we need to check that out anyway, as we're
Yeah.
investigating things.
I do think it'd be useful for us to know
Absolutely.
now and going forward too, because it's, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So then I have one other question. I think it was at the last meeting that I brought up a question about people kind of running in the pool area and like swimmers
Or in the,
on the deck. Yeah, and I've seen it since then. I really don't remember what the answer was, but I've also continued to see it. And it's not like everybody does it, so I don't want to exaggerate at all, but it's maybe, I might be see it like once a week. I'm in there 5 or 6 times a week in the pool area. So I did talk with one of the lifeguards about it, and what he said was that, and it was right after it had happened. And what he said was that he goes over to the person and is very cordial and courteous, asking them not to run. And then he said the next time it happens with the same person, he's kind of stuck. And I'm not going to name any names here because he doesn't want to be, kind of in a disciplinarian.
so you're talking about somebody's running for fitness?
No, running.
They're just
no,
running from place to point to
running
point?
from
Okay.
like the lap pool to the spa area.
Yeah.
So running in the natatorium.
So,
And again, I don't.
so I can tell you one of the issues we have. So we are there to be guardians of the assets, and we remind people of the rules, but we don't have enforcement authority.
Yeah,
And even with safety, and I think we're working with the board in order to clear that up a little bit. Because we want to be, there are things that we would like to be able to do when people are doing unsafe things.
yeah.
But we still have a little bit of a process to work on with the board so that we can actually be effective in stopping. So
So,
it's a little bit more complicated.
So I think again, I don't remember exactly what was said at the last meeting, but I think it says in the pool rules, no running. I think I've not seen it, but one of the lifeguards also told me that. But I think I remember saying, maybe we could have something posted, because it's really dangerous for the person.
It's very
Really
dangerous. Yeah.
I don't know if you want to add anything.
Well, I don't see any reason why you couldn't post a sign that says no running. And even though, because how many people who use the pool have actually read all those rules? Probably not. Now, most people realize that there shouldn't be running on it. I mean, it's common sense.
Yeah.
It's common sense, but I think if you had a sign somewhere that then the lifeguard could at least point to that, and remind people. I don't see anything wrong with that. Do you, Anne?
Well, I mean, I will say typically in a pool, because if you have too many
Signs, too many
signs,
signs.
then they
Yeah.
become just visual noise.
Right.
But we just need to see where our pool rules are posted, and a lot of times you'll see them on the guard chair as well as some other place.
Yeah.
And so we may need to redo those and do them a bit more
Some-
obvious,
We have some standards.
conspicuously. But to put them all in one, I mean, sometimes it's better in a place like that to put them in one place when you're entering, when you're leaving the locker rooms, and then, so the guard can go right here.
Yeah.
Number 3.
Yeah, we have some
But we'll take a look
Yeah,
at the signage.
and as somebody who doesn't use the pool that way, I don't know what all is posted out there.
Yeah.
So, just somehow if the guard has a backup, this is in writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can
Well,
point to
this is
this.
this is the
It's not
policy.
my-
that
This is the
I'm-
this is
I'm
the
supposed to
policy.
follow.
I'm supposed to, advise you of the policy. Maybe not enforce the policy, but advise you of the policy.
And that particular rule is one that's across the board in every
Of
fitness
course.
facility. It's
Like
that's like
common
rule number
sense.
one.
But I think the other thing is to remember that they're always, from the beginning of when these people were 5 years old and they were running in the pool, they were told not to run.
Right.
So there are always going to be a few bad apples who, we cannot have 100% confirmation to our rules. That's what I think you're trying for. But we have to remember that that's not going to happen because there's always going to be a small percentage of people who are not going to conform to the rules, even if they're politely asked every time.
Now, with
That's how it
children,
is.
I had a lot of experience with that, did a lot of whistleblowing and to stop. It was excitement for them, they're so excited. Now, I don't think that.
I don't think
We don't know why some
But-
very, very tiny minority.
Yes.
Well, honestly, like if you want to, we could
It's
investigate
maybe to
that.
get to the jacuzzi, they're very excited.
That's why I asked you, I'm like, are they doing this for fitness? I'm like, you guys are living your best life. Why are you in a hurry?
The other thing I wanted to say is that we could ease the responsibility on the lifeguards if we just could get the two issues. For your safety, no running.
Yeah.
Not because it's a rule,
But
we've
because-
got to protect the rule, it's for your safety. And we still have areas where there are mats and they're not mats, so there's a change in what you're walking on. And when the concrete part is more likely to get wet because it's closer to the water, that could be quite dangerous.
Exactly, and when I see it, it's like, it's not, I'm not worried about the other people, I'm worried about the person who's doing it, and I know the
Yeah.
lifeguards are too.
Can I make a point about that?
Yep.
Specifically about what you just said. When people run in a crowded environment like this pool area often is, with 3 tubs, 3 facilities, people moving between them. When people start running, they often don't care about the other people. And I think my concern, as having been a longtime lifeguard, longtime coach, is that those people have a responsibility to the other people. The people that are running have a responsibility to, if they don't care about their own safety, no problem, fine, you get hurt, that's on you.
Yeah.
But if you take out somebody that's coming, I mean, we have people entering from the women's locker room that are going across the pool deck to the fitness pool. Not moving fast, some people with walkers.
Yeah.
And we have people like using the exit ramp, the exit hallway out, people going around the other side of the large pool to get to the spa. And there are a lot of people at risk when people aren't doing that. And I would like to encourage the lifeguards to speak up more often to say to them, please remember, no running. It's not just for your safety, it's for everybody's safety.
Good point. Yeah, very good point.
It's frustrating to hear that lifeguards have kind of a policing mechanism that stops them from saying things that they need to be saying. You know, and if you get yelled at by an old person, then too bad. My sense is tell them to stop it. When people are putting other people at risk, that's a real problem.
I agree.
You know, if somebody, like an old person falling on a pool deck, isn't just gonna be a scrape.
No.
You know, there's gonna be a lot more happening than that. And it's.
Yeah, and I do want to clarify,
Mhm.
whatever that guard told you, Jackie's correcting a lot of things with guards not guarding. I wanted to be
Yeah,
clear that
yes.
there's literally no consequence at this point for people not following rules. So many of the rules,
Yeah.
there's really no, it's difficult to actually say, well, you're so operating unsafely that you can't use the facility. Because really that's, if they're that much of, there are certain rules which can be a threat to others, not just yourself.
Right. Well,
So just understand that
Yeah.
there's a whole retraining,
Right,
because even the ability to tell someone
yes.
was not in vogue, it's becoming more in vogue for us to at least do that
Yeah,
job. So
no,
that's
it-
kind of a whole retraining of the team.
But, my frustration is hearing things like I have a friend who's a disabled advocate living here. And when we did the refinishing of the dollar pool a few years back, I recommended that we put in 2 handrails instead of just one, going down the stairs and the ramp into the water. And she got in touch with me at that point and thanked me for that. And just recently, I got a note from her that was saying she's having problems getting people to use the entry assists, the
Okay.
chair assist for the pool, that she's been told a couple of times that they can't move them. And they're on wheels. They're built to be moved. I mean, that's why they have the wheels on them. And I think sometimes that lifeguards just don't want to take it on. They don't want to do the job to get somebody in the water. But we have, I mean, the ADA is still up there. We still have to approve or advocate for people who have less ability. And it's frustrating, would be frustrating for me if I was in that position where I wanted to get in, say, a pool, and I was told, we have this machine to get you in the pool without a problem, but we're not gonna move it for you. Which is just another statement of like, it's calling in to account their inability to be able to do it. In psychology, we call it blaming the victim.
What
Blaming the victim.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so if you weren't disabled, you could just get in the water.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be a problem for us. I think one of the things that I encountered a lot when I was chair of the Aquatics Committee was the fact that the lifeguards were often cowed by residents. And I think at some point you have to put up a barrier to that, as a lifeguard, especially if you're a younger lifeguard. Some of the older ones don't take that kind of stuff. But some of the younger ones I've seen be totally like cowed by people just getting in their face and, kind of attacking them for being, doing their job, basically. And I think the more we tolerate that kind of behavior, the more the safety stuff goes on the back burner.
I agree. That's kind of why it feels like it's built up so much to this point before I got here.
Yeah, and let me just say, we are changing that. But in order for it to affect real change, there are things that have to happen on a policy level. Because it's easy enough to say, they got to do their job. But when a senior says to guard, and this happens not just to guards.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know who pays your salary? Do you know I can take your job as a threat?
Yes.
And again, because there's no consequence right now, people are trying to figure out, well, how do I navigate this?
Well, people have
So
been banned
so
from
again, it's
facilities.
changing, but it's going to take a little bit of time to change. So Jackie's doing it in the field and saying, trust us, it's changing.
Yeah.
So it's a culture change, really what it is. And I will tell you, what the coolest thing is hearing, because I've heard this, like so much support from this committee for this team. And the more the team hears that, the more they're feeling better about protecting the asset for everybody and the use of it. So I really appreciate your observation on that, because it means that we're kind of ready for that change.
Yeah. I would think so. I mean, we had a couple of instances when I was chair, even before I was chair, where a couple of residents had been banned. One woman was banned for a year from the pools because of her basically attacking lifeguards, physically attacking lifeguards, which is scary,
Yep.
you know? And when she came back, when her year was up, she did it again. So she, you know, basically didn't learn anything from that year off,
Right.
which is really frustrating, indicative of maybe a deeper problem,
Yeah.
you know, as opposed to just kind of.
I agree.
Yeah.
Could have been a very deep problem.
But I think it's really important that this lifeguard staff in particular understands that they have the support of the GRF and our committee to do what they need to do. And they shouldn't be able to be threatened, or their jobs certainly shouldn't be threatened by a resident.
Well, if I can just put sorry, go ahead.
No, I really appreciate that.
The sort of PS end note for me would be, you know, I saw this person running, the instance in which afterwards I went up to the lifeguard.
Yeah.
Talked about it with him. I saw the person running. I wasn't sure he had seen it. He had seen the person running. So after I got out of the pool, I went and I asked him, I said, you know, how do you handle that? And he said, in this case, he was talking about the very same person I had seen. And he said, you know, I went up, I talked to her, and then after I left, she continued to run. It was like just blowing right off. And I'm so glad that I just felt really glad that I had the conversation with him, because I felt like he's doing the best he can and he's telling me that. And so what I want to say to you all is I could really feel like he's in a bind here. You know, not so much that he was afraid to lose his job.
Right.
You know, he's one of the older ones.
Yeah.
But he's in a bind. And so, you know, what I'm saying is, I mean, I say this at every single meeting. I think the lifeguards are fantastic. They do a really good job. And especially in a situation like this, which is a really tough situation. And I loved the way he handled it and the way he talked with me. So A+ for the lifeguard. And I really support, you know, whatever is happening at the board level or the policy committee to support the staff more. I really appreciate that too.
If we didn't support them, that could be a cause for people leaving the job.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's hard to
Yeah.
find,
Can't
not
lose
just
people.
certified, but skilled people who've developed a manner to communicate with everybody that they associate with. So you don't want to lose those people, that's for sure. Are there any other thoughts to share with Jackie, or to ask them about for clarification from Jackie?
I do want to make a comment and a potential solution, because I'm concerned about hearing like staff not helping move the ADA lift. But because we're not always staffed,
Right.
I'm wondering if, like a lot of times for accommodation, what you want to do, say, if you need accommodation, call. And they could either call before to make sure that, so something like that might be a good way to address
Yeah.
that, you think?
Yeah.
Would that be satisfying?
That would probably help.
Maybe
I think
operationally, we try to.
her concern is about dollar pool
Yeah,
specifically.
oh, absolutely. That's where we have a lot of.
And she uses it a lot, and there's no lifeguard on staff there. So usually there's not a lifeguard on duty there.
I think we could probably remedy that through different resources, so. Yeah, so
There are
let's,
removable like lifts that.
but we'll figure it out. We don't need to, yeah, we'll address it.
But yeah, I'll mention it to her next time I see her.
Yeah.
There were a couple of other issues left over from our previous discussions that I'll just bring to the table. We don't have to resolve them now, but not forget them. One was, is there a mechanism that we can use to minimize the no-show of people who put their name in there and then others are not able to go to the class because all the spaces have been taken, but one or two of them don't show up? Some of that probably is very legitimate. They have an illness or there's an emergency comes up and they don't have time or even think about canceling, so they fix that way. Are there any more clarifications we can contribute to the resolution of that problem?
It's getting better. I mean, people are, I know that I'm in Kathleen's class, which is always way oversubscribed. It's better. There's less people just no showing. Most people, although people are frequently now canceling an hour or so ahead.
Yeah.
So it makes it hard for the people on the waiting list to be
Yeah,
contacted.
of course.
But I think it's on an improvement scale. I don't know whether you
Is
guys
there,
have a
is
system.
there something, I heard that somebody was trying to monitor that. Is that right, Jack? I
Yeah.
know that would be very difficult to do.
It's a bit of a harder undertaking, but we're asking the instructors, the fitness trainers to look over their rosters, and if there's anybody that's chronically like no showing, then we'll be giving them a call and letting them know, like, hey, you've had so and so many classes missed. The next time this happens, your rights to might be revoked to sign up for the next class or for however many ever times, but yeah, so we haven't gotten to the point where we've had to call any one particular person yet, so we're just still tracking that and making sure it's not persistent, that they're not consistently taking up somebody else's.
Yeah, because I know that happens, that happens a lot in Sabrina's Saturday morning class and
It's very popular.
Virginia's classes too.
And so another thing to consider is that as we're going through this whole overhaul of NetSuite, it's not just NetSuite, right? So we have a lot of the program softwares. And one of the things that we are looking to replace is everything recreation and fitness and aquatics related, which at some point we're just gonna call all it is all recreational, right? And some of the things that we've put in our demo script as we were vetting out different softwares are these automatic kind of notifications with wait lists, the ability to track, to put thresholds so somebody can't say, I'm taking like all these classes. And I think, because right now these are being manually monitored, and so we're getting some improvement because usually it's like the same cast of characters, right? So you can kind of see it. But there could be better ways, and it would be really nice if we can just kind of like do those blocks by, this is how the system is set up. And again, anytime you put us in the role of enforcer, it just becomes something where we don't want to have to do it that way. We just want to have it, this is what the system is.
Yeah.
So, because it's very hard to regulate a systemized kind of courtesy, if you will, or etiquette. Not being a class hog or show whatever you're gonna say, show up. But there are ways with a system, you could do things where you can, we can put this thing, if you have 3 misses, like you kind of go to the bottom of a queue for sign up. Like those things are reasonable versus, and that those can all be kind of built into certain systems. So we're looking for these solutions to kind of help us manage that, because with adding more classes, people are getting, I think, more excited because it's diverse. And I think, like, if people are fitness users, they soon realize when you switch it up, your interest kind of stays more because you're not getting bored, right? And, we're adding stuff thinking, well, we're going to increase capacity, but we're getting more interest. So there's still kind of it's nice that the interest and the participation is exceeding what we can provide right now. But this feedback is all really good to understand, are things improving? What are those pain points? Because it gives us really specific criteria to look for, hopefully in a solution coming by the end of the year. So,
It's also good for Jackie to know that when she talks to staff about this, that she has the support of this committee, because we realize it's frustrating for the ones that can't register, and then they learn that there were 2 spaces in class. So we're serious about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, with the instructors too, it causes like a pause before they can start because they have to check the roster.
That's right.
And like see if there's anybody from the wait list there
Yeah.
that can hop in, and if not, like, and if there's anybody just like trying to wait on standby or that can pop in if they can't, but especially if there's like a last minute cancellation, it's hard to get a hold of the first person on the wait list.
Yeah, in the same vogue, another issue that we made mention of, and nice that Anne is here, in publicity or in writing up what's going to happen, for example, with the circumstance for the pool to be closed, for the bottoms to be, the pavement to be repaired and so on. I've had a good look at it. I was in there on Sunday, and it does need,
it's in need of right?
It's nice and clean,
Yeah.
but the wear and tear is pretty dramatic. We'd like to kind of, in any publicity, make it known that we hope that the residents will be patient as we try to attend to some of these problems. Now, Brian gave a very good clarification in our last meeting about the difficulty in getting parts particularly very specific parts for heaters or pumps or various parts of our pools. And they're not always available, and they're probably expensive and hard to get access to. So you can't warehouse 3 or 4 in-house to do the repairs in a lot of cases. So and we had some problems with someone who wasn't very patient about that very recently. So it would be good if we could put that in the paper that we would like our fellow residents to be patient when our staff works on resolving some of these development and
You know the saying
reparations.
about leading the horse to water, right?
Yes,
We lead them there a lot.
We leave them there all the time.
But we will continue to do that.
Good.
Yeah, and thank you for your support and understanding.
And then the other thing that we had in our records, I asked the question, so I'm gonna ask it again. We were gonna do a presentation about the club usage of the
It's on
facility.
the agenda.
I don't know if you prepared that, not if you didn't, it's
It's on
not,
the agenda.
it's not
Agenda
critical.
today.
So you
Okay.
have, yeah, so it's on the agenda. We have to
Okay,
put it on the agenda.
Well, I was jumping ahead to see if we did it, that's fine. Okay, it's fine.
We got
Okay.
you, Mary.
Let's move along to the publicity. Get some feedback from Mary Lou and Ann.
Which really, you could, because the publicity really is this item, you could,
Yeah, we could do it
you
that
could just do
way.
that.
We
You
can-
kind, you kind of just talked about some of the
We can
other
just,
stuff.
yeah, we did it. Well, they don't often lend themselves to being very, very different, uniquely different.
Want me to take it away?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
So for those who don't know, I'm Ann Peterson. I'm the Director of Communications and I'm the editor for the Rossmore News. And I recently met with Mary Lou and Ann to talk about the Wall of Fame program. That's been in existence for over 10 years and has had a newspaper component. So every Wall of Fame recipient then has an article that's written in the paper. And in past years, the emphasis has really been on your top athletes, your top fitness users, and we had like maybe 3 or 4 a year. Mary Lou has evolved the program really well to make it more of a focus about everyday users who have really found a way to maximize what the fitness center and the pools have to offer. And it's a brilliant idea, but it's confusing some of the residents who are like, well, why are these people Wall of Fame? They're like my neighbors. And it's like, okay, fine, we can solve this. And so we talked about rebranding, moving away from Wall of Fame and really allowing the feature, allowing what this program is to focus on what we're doing right now. And so the thought is, again, making it more about everyday users who are just like you, how they're making the most out of the fitness center. And so we had this discussion and Mary Lou and Ann were on board with the idea. We're hoping the committee is as well, on board with the idea of let's shift it. And it's really very simple. It just means let's change the name. So instead of making it Wall of Fame, we're gonna look at something that's again, a little bit more reflective of what the stories are. These are just a few example possible names that we came up with. The committee can discuss what they like. If you have other ideas, if you want to vote, however you want to do this, we're just thinking, let's look for a name that's a little bit more appropriate to what it is now. So we came up with Fit to Inspire, Finding Fitness, Featured Fitness, Fit for Life, Journey to Fitness, Profiles in Fitness, Fit in Rossmore, Fitness for Everyone. So that's our list. I don't know if anyone has any other ideas, but again, we're just trying to find something that encapsulates that idea. Anyone can do this, but these folks actually figured out how to. And again, Mary Lou's, every one of her articles in the last year has really reflected, this is why this person was chosen. And so again, you're into Pilates and you see Pilates or you've wanted to try it, now you're invested in that article. You're invested in finding out what that sort of journey was like for that person. So I love the direction of these articles. I think they're fabulous. We've already pulled them from the sports section. We put them in health and fitness, which is really where they belong. So we've done some gradual changes. Now it's really, let's rename it.
Good. Anything to add, Mary Lou?
No, I really could, because I like fitness for everyone, but everyone can choose. And Ann had also mentioned too, that maybe 2 or 3 people could be on a committee, just kind of, to get a broader range of people. because of their
And also
acquaintance.
had the idea, maybe we could put a box at the fitness center with little slips of paper that you could just fill out and say, here's a nominee, here's why. And then the committee could look through and say, oh, this is a great one,
That's a good idea.
as well as staff nominating folks they see.
Yeah, so like for today, because it's not like an action item, but generally is like, is there a consensus that this is an agreeable direction? Because it really doesn't change what Mary Lou is doing now, but possibly by the next meeting, it would be interesting just to bring, because we can bring forward like samples of what we talked about, like the simplest nomination form that any resident can put in the box for someone that this group, which could be assigned at the next meeting, you just start reviewing them. And it's just a way to kind of really enliven the experience of the fitness center by Rossmore's own users. But I thought it was, so when Ann reached out, I just thought, wow, it gives the opportunity to really develop this and kind of revitalize it again, because it seemed like it was becoming more work versus celebration, and I think this makes it more celebration.
No, I really like the idea of suggestions from the people.
Yeah, that was
I've
your-
gotten one suggestion fairly recently, but
Yeah.
that's the only one I've gotten from the customers.
And the nice part too is, as part of the rebrand, that we publicize it.
Yeah.
We really push it out, it goes front page, you let people know, oh, there's a box where you can nominate, it gets
Right.
people excited about it. So rebrands can sometimes just be the little jolt of life that,
Yeah.
that things need, so.
How are you going to decide on the name of this thing?
Completely up to you guys. I mean, you can decide as a committee next time that you know, we can take sample names from everyone, the list we've got going, put it out there, you guys could vote, or you could decide it's Mary Lou's project, Mary Lou pick a name.
No,
Really, any way you want to do this, it's really up to the committee to decide how you want to do that. It's just like my suggestion is rebrand so that it more fits what you're doing.
Yeah, I would like to take a vote or just a suggestion from here, this group, so.
Which, and again, we could make, because I think is the slide in the packet? If
It's not, but I can give it
We
to
can get it to everybody, right? Just something to think about for the next
Yes,
one.
that
And then,
that's a great idea.
and we'll just have a list of
Yep.
actions on this and reviewing things for the
Give
next
us
meeting.
some
And you and I
sense
can
of-
just work between now and then. 2 months of quality time. Yeah.
Okay, well, we've overlapped a little bit here, which is quite permissible as far as my thinking is concerned. Anything else for publicity that you need to share, Mary Lou, before we move on?
No, I was pleased that I think Jackie wrote the article about the beach volleyball. And you can run it for 3 weeks, I know that, and it's been running. So at least that's beginning. They say a person has to look at something 10 times before it really, goes into their brain. So I really appreciate that.
Let's move on and look at the club use. I'm not sure what the recommendations are, but we've got it listed as reviewing club use.
So so this one's nice because you don't have to work, there's no action. So you're just gonna see some information and,
It's important,
We want your
we
reaction.
understand it, that's why. I
yeah,
raised
exactly.
it.
And then we want
Yeah.
more questions for you.
Our action is understanding.
And ask
It is.
questions, ask
It
more
is.
questions. All right, I get to drive, so hopefully I won't mess this up this time.
So, I'll be reporting on the Rossmore Club's use of the fitness center today.
Okay, no, and I just had to make it full screen.
There you go. Okay, so the Tice Creek Fitness Center is utilized currently by 15 different clubs within Rossmore. Each club has gone through the process of meeting with the fitness center management team, which is me, Ash, and Adam, to verify their information, collect requests, confirm their schedules for 2025, and submit their reservation letter and membership roster. So the clubs that we currently have in here are the Ashmolean Tap, the Silver Swans with ballet, basketball, car, CPAC, Dance Fitness and Resource Club, which does Zumba, the Folk Dance Club, and India Club, specifically Bollywood, Hawaii State Club, plays hula, and Keeping Fit, Luktung Kiun, how is there? Masters Swim Club, pickleball, and tap dance. The next slide, we've broken it down by room, which clubs use each room and how many hours collectively per week. So in the dance studio, we have the Ashmolean Tap, Tai Chi Dance Group, Car, Tai Chi, Car Line Dance, CPAC, Chinese Dance, Folk Dance, India Club Bollywood, in Keeping Fit, Tung Kim, Tap Dance. That's all in this dance studio, and that collectively is 28 hours weekly. In the gymnasium, we have the basketball club, Car Tai Chi, Car Guizhong, and pickleball. And collectively, that's 84.5 hours weekly. Aerobic studio is ballet, Car Tai Chi, Car Folk Art Dragon Dance, CPAC Chinese Dance, and Luk Tung Kyun, Zumba, and collectively 19 hours weekly. And in the Serenity Studio, we have the Hawaii State Club doing their hula. And it's 5.75 hours weekly. Serenity Studio, a little bit of a unique room because they have to you can't work out with your shoes on. So either you have to have socks. So hula does not need shoes. The next slide looks a little similar, but it's broken down by club use in our GRF programs. So in the dance studio, clubs use 28 hours weekly. GRF programming is 5 hours per week. The gymnasium, there's 84.5 hours per week of usage by clubs, and GRF programs have 11.5 hours weekly. Aerobic studio, the clubs have 19 hours per week and GRF programs have 23.75. And in the Serenity room, there's 5.75 hours weekly for the clubs and 14.25 per week from the GRF programming. So the fitness team's also continuing to increase room use with programs that are free and open to all residents. And you can use any unused, unscheduled space to with that. The first slide, so the next few slides, we're going to be each highlighting each club. So first we have the Ashmolean Tap. They have 77 members, 60 of which are residents and 17 non-residents. They have 3 hours weekly room use, and they work out on Mondays from 5 to 6:30 in the dance studio, and Sundays from 3:30 to 5 p.m. also in the dance studio. Next, we have ballet, the Silver Swans. There's 47 resident members. They have 4.75 hours weekly room usage, and they work out on Tuesdays from 11 to 12 in the aerobic studio, the Tuesday 1:15 to 2:45. That's their intermediate ballet. And then Saturdays 1:45 to 3 p.m. is basic ballet. Next, we have the basketball club. There's 30 resident members in total. They work out 10 hours weekly in the gym. And so their times are Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And it's open play basketball in the gym. Saturdays and Sundays also from 8 a.m. to 10. Oh, that's 8 a.m. to 8.
That's a long
10 a.m. Sorry.
Long basketball.
One typo there. And that's also in the gym. We're not even open till 10. The Car Club, that's the Chinese American Association of Rossmore. They have 473 resident members in their club total. They have 21.75 hours weekly room use. So it's a long, you can see on the how many rooms they utilize in there. The next club is CPAC, it's Chinese Performing Arts Club. They have 50 33 resident members and 6 hours weekly of room use. They work out Mondays, 6:45 to 8:45 in the dance studio, Tuesdays, 3 to 5. They have Chinese dance in the aerobic studio. And then Thursdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Chinese dance also in the dance studio. Next is the Dance Fitness and Resource Club with offering Zumba. They have 33 resident members, 2 hours weekly room use. And they work out Tuesdays, 9:45 to 10:45 a.m. in the aerobic studios and Thursdays at the same time as well.
Jackie?
Yeah.
We average 33 people in the class every day, but we have
Oh.
80 members.
Update your records.
That's okay.
Good to know.
Might be
Do we
81,
offer-
I can tell you, I sent in the list, but, you know,
Okay.
it's all right, no problem.
Jackie, do we offer Zumba under any other group besides this group?
That's that one. Sabrina has, or,
Sabrina has 3 classes.
yeah, Sabrina has
Yeah.
3.
It's quite popular.
Yeah. Up next is
That's
folk
different
dance.
from this. Right.
Right, because you're not a club.
Yeah.
It's Sabrina's one.
Yeah, this is Sabrina.
Up next is folk dance. They have 22 members, 19 of which are residents, 3 non-resident members. They have 4 hours weekly of room use. They work out Wednesday, or they dance on Wednesdays from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. And also Fridays from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. in the dance studio. They were kind enough to show off their dance moves to me.
Cute.
Also, in the dance studio, we have the India Club Bollywood. India Club they have a total of 80 members. They use the room for 1.5 hours weekly for the Bollywood dance. And that's Tuesdays from 11:30 a.m. to 12:45 p.m. Up next is Hula with the Hawaii State Club. We have 24 members, 22 of them residents, 2 non-residents. They work out 5.75 hours weekly. So they use the Serenity Studio because they work out with no shoes. Yeah. Mondays from 2:30 to 4:30, and then Thursdays 1:45 to 2:30, which is their beginners session. And then Thursdays from 2:30 to 4:30. We have Club Keeping Fit. We have 38 resident members. They work out 3 hours weekly. They use the dance studio all 3 days, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, all from 10 to 11 a.m. What time do you in?
That's very positive.
They have 33 resident members, 5 hours weekly room usage. They use the early part of the day, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 7 to 8 a.m. in the dance studio. And then Thursdays from 7:30 to 8:30 in the aerobic studio. And then we have their Master Swim Club. They use the pool, lap pool. They're in there from Tuesdays 9 to 10 a.m. in the lap pool. It's just 1 hour weekly use at our fitness center. They also have another day on Thursdays at Hillside. They do add an extra day back in the winter when Hillside pool is closed, though. Come back in the day. And Really, the day I took a picture of them, they were 17 people. You can't see them all in the photo, but it's moving. Next, we have our pickleball club. And they have 537 resident members, 68 hours weekly of room usage, which is the gym. So there are various levels of play throughout the day. And then they have some open time as well. So Mondays but the general overall hours are Mondays 6 to 8 a.m., 1:30 to 4, and then 6 to 8:30. Tuesdays, they have 7 to 10 a.m. and 12 to 8:30 p.m. Wednesdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., 1:30 to 4, and then 6 to 8:30. Thursdays, 7 to 10 a.m. and 12 to 8:30 p.m. And Fridays, 6 to 10 a.m., 1:30 to 4, and then 6 to 8:30. Saturdays and Sundays pretty much mirror each other, so it's 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Next, we have our tap dance club. There's 32 members, 30 of which are residents and 2 non-resident members. They have 2 hours weekly of room use. They use the room Mondays from 2:30 to 3:30 in the dance studio, and then also 3:45 to 4:45. All the clubs we have.
That's a very complete report. And I'm very glad to be able to see that and grasp it, how large it is. And you have no problem with the reservation system when you brought them all in and,
So here's the very interesting thing, because we've done reservations.
yeah,
Fitness center is different, it's not part of that.
that's right.
And this is the first time in, as long as anyone can remember, I think, that the team sat down with the different clubs to say, who are you, what is your use? And what was really nice about this was that as we were trying to figure out, well, how do we grow a few classes, and we needed to go into the gymnasium, pickleball, we knew like who had a lot of the use. So who were we gonna go to say, can you just move it a skosh this way or that way, or give us a half an hour here? And so I think the work that was done is kind of some foundational stuff that needs to happen to understand the use. And the timing of it was funny because you were saying, what is the club use, right? We need to know the answers to these questions. And so again, this is more work that the team is doing to try to understand that. So as we build programs, we can do it with information. Because even though it looks like, well, you're only using that room 24 hours, it takes it being the right class or the right time of day during the peak, and we know the times of day when things are peak, where you're not gonna find an ounce of parking, right, in the parking lot.
Yeah.
So they're doing a lot of this, like examining the operations, the capacity of the parking lot, and figuring out strategically where they can add or where they should move things. So it's fun. I mean, it's like really laying the footprint for like really smart operations of that facility.
Now, in each case, I think the clubs appoint their own leaders or instructors or coaches. So there's no crossover with any of the permanent staff.
No, right, yeah, they have their own instructors.
Yeah,
They have their club presidents that they do an election every year, and so make change each year, and this is why it's important for us to sit down and meet with everybody.
Right.
We have a question. For some reason, Deborah is raising her hand.
Yes, sir. Did you address the Q&A person?
There's a question in the Q&A.
Oh, there's a GRF. Oh, thank
Do
you.
non-residents pay a fee for use of the gym?
Yes, well, you answer that question.
So non-residents, yes, they do pay for the use of the gym. If a resident brings in a guest and each resident has 10 guest passes, they can opt to use that on their guest. If it's in terms of a club member,
Non-resident club members have to pay as well.
Yeah.
Every time they visit. And there's a limit on non-resident club members. Which is actually should be strictly adhered to. So one of them I noticed is a little over.
So for the non-resident club members, I can't remember which club it was that had quite a few non-resident club members. I assume that that the members can say, okay, well, I'll use my 10 for this person, and the next person says, well, I'll use my 10 for that same person. Well, eventually they're gonna run out of those, right?
Yeah.
So then that's when the people start paying, I assume.
So this is not unlike policies and rules are only as good as how they're enforced.
Right.
And what we found in the reservation program is that a lot of things weren't enforced, and then there were distortions of rules. And so now we're in the situation we have to say, well, it can't really be 200 sets of rules for 200 sets of clubs. So fitness center is different. It doesn't operate under those rules, and it has some different ones. Again, this is the first time anybody's really said, we need to see your roster. We need to see who's coming in here.
Yeah.
And there's actually some clubs that are outside of that fold. Another question is something that, we've done a lot of storming, and we're trying to norm a little bit. But one of the things we probably want to look at with the fitness center is, so let's look at club use again, because it does seem that club use is reserving space. And so it really shouldn't be for non-residents, right? I mean, as much in demand as that is. So how do we just want to just like keep it the way it is? Or do we want to look at something and just say, no, if they're coming in as a club activity, they have to pay the fee, or can they be a guest of the resident? And again, we'd have to be able to track that. So when you do this, you just end up asking a lot of questions. And again, if anybody is like, nobody's online, but this doesn't mean we're suddenly going to go out and do this. This is something that we have so much that we still are trying to work through with the room reservation program, that with the fitness center, it was really identifying, like, do we even have a business model? Oh, let's kind of address that. Let's build the classes and the programs. Clubs are wonderful, right? They are the life force of the community. They add so much richness and diversity to the programs at the fitness center. So we absolutely don't want to do anything to disrupt that. They're just questions to ask, and at some point we'll bring them to the appropriate bodies to be discussed and vetted out. But right now, I'm sure they do that, and
I'm sure they do. Well, and frankly, if you're not gonna use your 10, well, then you let one of the
absolutely.
non-resident people use your 10. But eventually they run out.
Depending on how frequently they meet.
Well, when you add up all the non-residents up for that many clubs, 15 or so, it's quite a large number.
Well, it's really, when you look at it, most of the clubs only have very few, if any, non-resident members.
Yeah.
The Ashmolean Tab is the one that
That's
has
the
the
one that
most.
succeeds in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think when you add them up, including the Ashmoleans,
Yeah.
you get a respectable number that needs to be addressed and understood and considered.
And honestly, and in the club's defense, they're not tracking that, right?
No.
You're volunteer run, you're just coming in and just enjoying this activity. So, when we notice things like that, like we'll work with them and just say, okay, so you're a little high, can you do something with your membership over the next 6 months or something like that? So we'll reach out to them.
Well, that's a helpful explanation. Thank you for putting that all together. Quite a lot.
It's a lot of work.
I was suspicious that it was pretty dramatic.
Yeah.
That's quite a amount. I look at those Qigong classes in there and they're jam-packed full. Not always, but at certain peak hours, they're very, very popular. Okay, going back to our agenda, getting towards the end here. No surprise, I expect. Are there any new items for future agendas that we haven't mentioned that any of you would like to see considered or addressed?
We have the percentage, that.
Yeah.
With the percentage of the population using the fitness center, you want it over the
We'll
year?
slice it and dice it.
Now, in the technicality of it, were you
We gotta look in
explaining
the data that we pulled.
that it's difficult for us to record how many different members of the population of residents uses the gym?
What I can say is, we got a lot of dirty data all over the place, and so we need to look at the data before we can tell you how accurate of a response we can give you. But for instance, we have residents that are entered into our master database. You could have the same resident like 3 or 4 ways. They could do first name and last name all in one field, first name, last name inverted. Sometimes the address is written differently and they'll all look like different things, so. And again, I'm not sure how MindBody pulls it, My Body is this local software we use at the fitness center that should connect right now to GenArc, the old system. So until we really look at that, we won't know. But there's something that we pull, there's a way I might be able to get to that. So I have a way I can outsmart the system, I think.
Well, I think there's some leverage in public relations for us to have a pretty good grasp of what proportion of the 10,000 roughly are using the facilities, whether it's the pools, plural, or whether it's the gym itself. Yeah, so I'm sure you'll keep working on that.
Now, pools are a little bit more difficult because
They
they're
are.
self-access, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where it gets a little bit, the big question mark starts floating there.
But we all do, to get into the pools, at least twice, we all swipe
That
that
one,
card,
yes.
and then we sign in at the other pool, so.
Yeah. So it does help. I mean, we do those metrics and we'll
Right,
start,
I know.
you'll start seeing those with the next meeting, so it'll be interesting.
Any other additions or clarifications we need to address before we adjourn? Well, let's adjourn. Liz, I need to speak to you before we separate. So,
Okay.
just a moment. Thank you, ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen.
thank you, everyone.